You have probably seen it before, a small blue can, a funny name, and a kind of food many people distrust on sight. Spam has long carried the image of something suspicious, what people call mystery meat, without asking what is inside. It looks too neat, too pink, too sealed away from anything that feels fresh. And yet the strange part is this: the product so many people treat like a secret is made from only 6 ingredients. Not 16, not 20. 6. If Spam is not nearly as mysterious as people assume, why has it spent so many years being treated like one of the most questionable foods on the shelf? Let's get into it right here on Secrets of Simple Things. Why Spam looks more suspicious than it really is. Part of the answer begins before the can is ever opened. People do not judge food with reason first. They judge it with instinct. A metal can feels industrial. A dense pink block of meat does not help. Neither does the name Spam, which sounds less like something made for a family table and more like something designed for efficiency. Before anyone reads a label, the product has already lost part of the argument. Many people do not distrust it because they have studied what is inside. They distrust it because it carries the visual language of cheap processed food. It looks like the kind of thing modern shoppers are trained to avoid, and yet supermarket shelves are full of foods that seem more normal while hiding ingredient lists that are much longer and harder to recognize. Spam simply wears its processed identity too openly. It looks guilty before the evidence is even considered. Once that reputation settles in, it tends to stay. So where did it begin? How war gave Spam its reputation? A large part of Spam's reputation was shaped not in a supermarket but in war. During World War II, the United States shipped more than 150 million pounds of canned pork to troops and allies because it solved practical problems better than many other foods could. It traveled well, lasted a long time, and stayed safe without refrigeration. But usefulness can create resentment. Soldiers did not just eat Spam once in a while. Many ate it again and again until it stopped feeling like food and started feeling like repetition itself. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then the same thing the next day. Under those conditions, even a decent product can become exhausting. That is why the jokes stuck. Names like mystery meat sounded as if they came from suspicion, but much of the feeling behind them came from fatigue. The problem was not that people had no idea what Spam was. The problem was that they had seen too much of it too often, in circumstances nobody would choose for themselves. Sometimes, a food is not disliked because of what it is, but because of the memory attached to it. Spam became part of a collective memory of shortage, routine, and survival. After the war, the can stayed on the shelf, and so did the feeling. While other processed foods became more complicated, Spam stayed strangely simple. That is where the story becomes ironic. After the war, processed food expanded rapidly. Ingredient lists began to grow longer. Foods that looked ordinary on the outside increasingly relied on preservatives, stabilizers, flavor enhancers, and texturing agents behind the scenes. Spam, meanwhile, changed far less than people might expect. Its formula stayed unusually short, with one notable later adjustment when potato starch was added to reduce the gelatin that could form during cooking. In other words, the product that already looked suspicious remained relatively straightforward, while many foods with a friendlier image became more elaborate. That contrast matters because it reveals something wider than Spam itself. We do not judge food only by what it contains. We judge it by the signals wrapped around it. A familiar shape feels safer. So Spam kept carrying the burden of looking processed, even as much of the food around it became more processed in quieter ways. What actually goes into a can of Spam? The truth is, the process is more straightforward than most people expect. Once you look past the can, Spam stops feeling mysterious. It begins with pork and ham. In the factory, shoulder meat is used because it gives the product the balance it needs, enough lean meat to hold structure and enough fat to keep it from turning dry. Excess bone and unwanted fat are removed, and then the meat is ground in 2 stages. One grind keeps a little visible texture. The second makes the mixture smooth enough to bind together. Then the remaining ingredients are added: salt, water, sugar, potato starch, and sodium nitrite. Salt helps with flavor and preservation. Water keeps the texture moist. A small amount of sugar softens the harshness of the salt. Potato starch helps manage extra liquid. Sodium nitrite protects the meat and helps maintain its familiar pink color. After that, the mixture is portioned into cans, sealed, and cooked in a closed environment under enough heat and pressure to do two jobs at once. It cooks the meat thoroughly, and it sterilizes the contents at the same time. That is the real reason Spam can sit safely on a shelf for 3 to 5 years. Its long shelf life does not come from some secret storm of chemicals. It comes mostly from the way it is sealed and cooked. The real mystery is how we judge processed food. Because if Spam is made in such a direct and readable way, why does it still feel more suspicious than so many other foods? The answer has less to do with ingredients than with perception. People tend to notice processing when it looks obvious. A block of meat in a can looks processed immediately. It does not try to charm you. It does not hide behind rustic packaging or the language of freshness. Meanwhile, many foods people barely question can carry much longer ingredient lists. A typical hot dog may contain 15 to 25 ingredients depending on the brand. Chicken nuggets from major chains can go even higher. Deli meats that look tidy and familiar often rely on stabilizers and preservatives most shoppers would never casually name. But those foods have been absorbed into everyday life so completely that they rarely trigger the same reaction. They look normal, so they feel acceptable. That is what makes Spam interesting. Not because it is healthier than everything else, but because it reveals how quickly people confuse appearance with truth. A nicer package can create trust. A more familiar shape can lower suspicion. A strange name can make judgment arrive early. The one ingredient people fear most. If there is one ingredient in Spam that makes people hesitate, it is sodium nitrite. That is usually the part of the label where suspicion sharpens. And to be fair, this concern does not come from nowhere. Sodium nitrite is often mentioned in discussions about cured and processed meats, especially when those foods are eaten frequently over long periods of time. But context matters here. Sodium nitrite is not some strange signature ingredient unique to Spam. It is also found in foods many people treat as far more ordinary: bacon, ham, salami, pepperoni, and hot dogs. In other words, Spam does not introduce a separate hidden danger so much as make visible something that already exists across a wide range of familiar meats. That does not turn it into a health food. It simply places the conversation back where it belongs. Spam is not uniquely alarming because of sodium nitrite. It is simply more visibly judged for carrying the same kind of ingredient many people already accept elsewhere. So, is Spam unhealthy or just easy to judge? The most honest answer is both, but not in the way people often mean. Spam is not the kind of food anyone should imagine as an everyday ideal. One serving contains about 790 milligrams of sodium, roughly a third of a day's recommended intake, and it is rich in saturated fat. On that point, the criticism is fair, but that still is not the real question underneath its reputation. The deeper question is why Spam has been singled out for so much more suspicion than many foods that are also processed, also salty, and often built from longer, more complicated ingredient lists. That answer seems to lie less in nutrition alone than in everything wrapped around it: the memory of war, the image of the can, the strange sound of the name, and the sense that it belongs to the cheap side of the grocery store. And that is what makes Spam a useful story. It reminds us that people rarely decide what feels trustworthy by evidence alone. Often they decide first by image, memory, and cultural instinct. So in the end, Spam turns out to be less mysterious than the story built around it. It is not some unknowable substance hiding behind a joke. It is a canned meat product with a short ingredient list, a long history, and a reputation shaped as much by memory and image as by anything inside the can. The food that looks suspicious at first glance is, in some ways, more transparent than many foods people accept without hesitation. And maybe that is the larger lesson hidden here. Sometimes the mystery is not inside the object itself. Sometimes it lives in the way people learn to see it, repeat old judgments, and stop asking fresh questions. The real mystery was never only the meat, it was how easily a familiar joke turned into a lasting judgment. Some things are dismissed for so long that nobody pauses to ask what they really are. Have you ever tried Spam, and if you have, what did you think of it before learning all this? Let me know in the comments, or leave another ordinary thing you see all the time but have never stopped to question. Subscribe for more stories that make familiar things feel interesting.